over on Apple TV Plus, arriving on Friday the 30th of August, we have a new rockumentary series called K-Pop Idols, and here's a clip.
I slept like 3 hours. I was stranded outside in the cold. I have to go up on stage and act like nothing's wrong.
I thought being a K-pop idol was going to be all great and beautiful. That's not the reality.
K-pop idols give us so many things.
It's been 2 years since I've seen my family. Now that I'm doing it on my own without a label, it's the hardest point in my life.
So I was really interested when I got this one to review because for some time now in my inbox I've been getting emails about K-pop, and if I'm really honest with you, I didn't particularly know what it was or the premise of it particularly. And also if I go out with my children, which I do, funnily enough sometimes, I also noticed that there's all these K-pop dolls everywhere, and they kind of mentioned them, and I'm not really, as I said, wasn't really understanding exactly what it was, so I was quite pleased to kind of get this to review because I could really kind of understand the premise of K-pop and these idols and sort of, you know, this huge phenomena. So essentially it's Korean pop, but they're bands that are put together, and this is a 6-part documentary series, and it follows one person and some bands on their journey of how of the K-pop industry and the pressures they're put under. Now it's sort of the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you like, because I think we all know, even in kind of from X Factor, Pop Idol, all of those kind of big hitting shows that we've probably all watched, the pressures that some of these people have put under, because we've seen documentaries of late, we've seen interviews with some of those people where they say, you know, they were, you know, put under this amount of pressure. They couldn't see, well, I don't know if they couldn't see their family, but, you know, the pressures of fame, I suppose, that what's part and parcel of this job. But this is kind of almost to a different level, and these people are interviewed, you see their journey, and you see their different journeys. And these people work really, really hard, but they're manufactured, essentially. And it's become, I think, just quite recently very, very popular, say with the dolls that you can buy and this huge following. And, you know, in this series, you can see the different nationalities that are following, you know, these groups, these people, their idols, in a real kind of way that proper fan base. I mean, absolute mega money to be made here. But what money are they making? What pressure are they being put under? And of course, it looks into the companies that are navigating that, the ones that are putting them together, the ones that are sort of creaming it. And again, you know, those stories we've seen a million times, haven't we, of not necessarily a moral compass being there. And I'm not suggesting that's not the case here, but, you know, or that that's the case here. But, you know, kind of this just shines a spotlight on how all of this is done and why they're so popular. But the kids, really, or some of them are a bit older, but that are behind this, and the pressure that they're under and that filters down to them. You know, they're exhausted, they've got to learn these perfect dance routines in time for these performances, and they don't have any time outside of that. And they're kind of asked, are you prepared to put your life on hold for this? And then you get to know some of them. So you get to know Jessie, for example. She's slightly different. She's done the whole K-pop idol thing, but she's now become a solo artist. And in essence, that's probably even harder because you don't have a group to support as a backbone around you. And she has loads to take on, and it's just awful. You see her crying, you know, it was really compelling, actually, because I didn't think I would be that interested. It hasn't really hit my agenda. It hasn't really hit my life. Kids aren't that interested. You know, pointed out, they understand it. But I suppose it's just the same narrative that we all know, but just in a slightly... it just basically takes the sparkle off it. You just see it for what it is. And I mean, I don't want to ruin it anymore for people, but I find it really interesting and actually really sad in places as well, because this want for fame, this want for Perhaps it's money, perhaps it's acceptance. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about fame that attracts some people, but you see it warts and all here. And it's interesting. So for me, I learned quite a lot. I don't know what you thought, Ian.
I did as well. Yeah, and I mean, all I knew about K-pop was Gangnam Style, which is pretty old news these days. But yeah, as you say, it follows 3 acts. There's Jessie, Black Swan, who are sort of like this international K-pop group, which is quite unusual. And then hilariously, the boy band Gravity, who someone helpfully explains that their name is a combination of creativity and gravity. And they are all beautiful looking lads, aren't they? They're absolutely stunning looks. And I mean, if you thought boy bands in England and America were heavily manufactured by Svengalis, such as, well, the Backstreet Boys guy that we talked about recently, and the NSYNC guy. And over here, people like Simon Fuller and Simon Cowell. This is on another level, isn't it, K-pop? And we do get to meet the boss of one of the big record companies and his incredibly nerdy son who is taking over the business. So what I particularly enjoyed, I mean, the drilling that they go through in terms of singing and dancing is just astonishing, really. It looks absolutely exhausting. But there's a very formulaic makeup to a K-pop band, which I didn't know, which is that you have the leader, you have someone called the visual, you have someone called the face, you have someone called the Maknae, which is the youngest member of the group. You have different levels of vocalist and rapper. It's just so weird, but interesting. So yeah, it's a fascinating insight into a world I wasn't particularly aware of, but it's a big thing, isn't it, over here? Because we recently had Made in Korea, the K-pop experience, where they send a British band, put them through the sort of K-pop training. So yeah, it's very much of the moment, and I thought it was an interesting watch.